This is a special edition of WeatherScope, live coverage of Winter Storm 96.
And good morning. We're live in the Weather Channel Forecast Center as we continue to update you on what is going to be an absolutely phenomenal winter apparently here as we continue to exceed all snowfall totals, annual snowfall totals in the northeastern cities, and we're adding more onto that today. Let's take you into Philadelphia a little earlier on this morning where the snowflakes were flying and they were coming down at 1 inch to 1.5 inches an hour here. And again, after last week's round of record snowfall on Sunday to Monday, obviously this is not great news. The snow will move through this morning and possibly mix in with a little sleet and a little freezing rain. Well, guess who's sitting in the city of brotherly love this morning? We've got Bill Keneally. We moved him from the Mass Pike on down to Philadelphia. And Bill, give us the latest in Philadelphia this morning.
Well, Jim, the makeup of the atmosphere changing dramatically after we talked to you 30 minutes ago. 5 minutes later, all of a sudden, the visibility picked up to about 3 or 4 miles, and we're now seeing sleet and freezing rain. It had been just about all sleet. Now it's turning over to just about all freezing rain, even though the lower atmosphere is holding in the mid-20s. Things are changing upstairs. Up there about 1 mile high, I'd estimate some warmer air starting to flood in off the Atlantic.
Yeah, it almost looks like before when we were talking to you that we could see the top of the buildings behind you.
Right.
Now the ceiling appears to be coming down just a little bit there.
Yeah, ceiling's rising a little bit. However, once again, the actual visibility on the flat plain is not too bad off, but you're right, their ceiling is obscured above, say, about 800 to 1,000 feet.
Yeah, a sign of warmer air moving in. Well, Bill,
yes,
that could mean some slippery roads this afternoon in case the temperatures don't warm up above freezing. We'll check back with you in just a little bit. Thank you very much. All right, folks, what's going on with this storm? Let's show you the latest radar, and then we'll go up the road a piece to see what's happening in the Big Apple. And obviously, you can see some precipitation coming down on the radar there. You can even see our surface low. Check it out, offshore here, heading on off toward the north and east. And that's kind of interesting because as long as we keep it east, that means the bulk of the cold air will stay over the interior. But because the flow is so strong over the Atlantic, we are obviously removing some of this cold air near the coastline. And right below this line, this is all rain. We got light rain going on here. Then we have the freezing rain and sleet, which Bill was talking about, moving up into Philly now. And to the north of that, this is all heavy snow now across North Jersey, through the Poconos, down through the Susquehanna Valley, and even back into the Laurel Highlands around Pittsburgh, getting some enhancement there from the upper air low and the cold air which is trapped under a very, very deep snowpack. Well, what's going on as we take you up toward New York City? Guess who's standing there? Jill Brown. She was there during the blizzard of '96. Jill, is getting used to New York City now, aren't you?
Yes, we are getting used to New York City. It's not really any better today than it was on, say, Monday. We're getting some fairly heavy snow, some bigger flakes, actually, than we saw through most of the blizzard, and it's getting kind of blustery out here as well. But it's warmer. It's 31 degrees at this point, wind chill in the single digits. You're looking over Central Park West, Central Park itself right behind me, and looking down on Columbus Circle, where you can see the traffic is really backed up. Now, the problem here is that a lot of the lanes are taken up by snow, so still you're not expected to park on the snow emergency routes today, and that's the reason. They can't get the emergency vehicles in. Last time we were with you here, you could see that the fire trucks were kind of trying to get in here. Apparently, down the subway, someone had lit some trash on fire to try and keep warm, so that was why the fire truck showed up, everything under control, and they've already left, but they had a hard time getting there because cars are double parked, some of the lanes are taken up by snow, and it's really backed up at this point in Manhattan.
See, even just a little snow, folks, doesn't mean good news for the folks in New York. Thanks, Jill. We'll check back with you in just a little bit, where we talked to Bill and Jill, and again, they're starting to mix in now or get close to that freezing rain and sleet area as the warm air rushes in from the Atlantic. Let's take a look at the Doppler radar out of New Jersey, and you can see very nicely here where we are getting the sleet. Almost looks like what you'd see as thunderstorms in the summertime. It is just to the north of that where the heavy snow continues to fall. They're mixing in a little bit more down here, as we talked about with Bill, but the warm air is just rushing in. Temperatures are warming up. JFK already up to 33 degrees, and as I mentioned, you can see the surface low showing up even here on the Doppler radar. So some interesting weather. Check out the satellite picture. Warm, moist air being thrust on northward. But one of the properties you have to remember when you look at cold air, which is over the interior here, and warm air, which is being pumped in from the ocean, is the fact that cold air is more dense. So that warm air is going to be forced over the top of it. And that's really where we run into our forecast problem in through here. What we're dealing with is the snow that's already occurred across a good part of the southern Appalachians, and that's all moving on northward now. We feel the heaviest snow will actually be inland from the coastline here. We think it's going to be inland because of that warm air intrusion, and it's going to be just inland too. Let's take a look at what we think is going to happen here. Here's our low pressure moving on up the coast, the warm air being pumped in, of course the rain to the south of that warm front. Then we get that icy mix as we showed you on the Doppler, and then this area of heavy snow, which is also being enhanced, as we mentioned, by this reflection of the upper level low on back toward the west. This is all just being shoved on off toward the island FOK, kind of different from what you were looking at. So this will be the ocean side here, and this would be the inland side. The warm air is rushing in over the top of that cool dome, and because we have such a snowpack over the interior here, it's really going to be tough to wedge that out. So what we're going to deal with is a lot of warm air aloft with the cold air trapped at the surface, freezing rain, good possibility across northern New Jersey into interior New England, and then probably some sleet in the cities for a while, and then all snow as we head further inland around Allatoona and up toward Poughkeepsie and on in toward Brattleboro, Vermont. And we're talking about a lot of it too, 6 to 10 inches with advisory posted. Well, the only difference in this storm and the last one is the fact that we're going into a weekend as opposed to coming out of one. Still the same old problems with travel and at the airports. Lisa Morrow just informed me that an airplane at Dulles has drifted on a taxiway off into a snowdrift. This was after it moved on and landed, but obviously some problems there at Dulles. That airport is currently closed. For more airport problems, let's talk to Janine Diadamo in the studio.
Thank you, Jim. As you've mentioned, there are some problems at a lot of the airports. Right now, plenty of closings. We'll let you look at that. Baltimore, and this is the liquid equivalent, but when we talk about it in terms of inches of snowfall, we're expecting snow to mix, of course, along the coast. We talked about freezing rain and sleet now in Philadelphia, and we'll probably get some more of that for Long Island and New York as the day goes on, but maybe over 6 to 12 inches through New England and southern New England.
This is a special edition of WeatherScope, live coverage of Winter Storm 96.
Good morning. We're live in the Weather Channel Forecast Center as we check out the next round of winter weather through the megalopolis, continuing to slow the progress and the cleanup from the first one as another round of snows make their way through Washington, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. And if you live there, I can concur with the aggravation that you're feeling, no doubt about that. Let's look at the radar now, and we'll check out what's going on here. You'll notice some enhancement here just to the south of New York. Looks like a band of sleet getting ready to move into downtown. That sleet and mixture and mixed bag has worked all the way into Philadelphia now. All rain to the south of that and all snow, and in some cases heavy snow even back through the Poconos and the Susquehanna Valley. Altoona has been very heavy snow for the last hour now, and you can even see the back edge of the precipitation here starting to work through the Beltway in Washington. But Baltimore right now reporting freezing rain, sleet, snow, and even some rain. So they got the whole gamut there. Speaking of the whole gamut, we take into Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Bill Keneally has seen it all this morning, from calm skies to snow to the mixture. What's it like right now, Bill?
All right, Jim, the variety pack continues. We have on occasion big weighty snowflakes and also these big bouncing balls of sleet and even some freezing rain coming on through at times. The air is still about 25 degrees though, so it is upstairs where things are changing. I want to show you the picture shot earlier today by our photographer Steve Angel, and in the area we were right there at the high end a little bit. That's probably the big fear now with the rooftops, as that is a much heavier, wetter snow, sleet, rain combination than that light powdery stuff we had back on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, a lot of folks who didn't take advantage of the drier weather, if you want to call it that, this week, have got even some heavier stuff to shovel off now. Thank you very much, Bill. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Let's check out the Doppler radar, folks. We take you into New Jersey, and you can get a closer idea of what's going on here. I want to show you that band of sleet, which is beginning to move now across Staten Island and head into downtown New York, which we'll find out if that is actually going to happen as we check in with Jill Brown here in just a moment. But you can see where some of this sleet and mixture is still occurring down toward Riverton, New Jersey, out through along the Garden State Parkway and the Jersey Turnpike. Just a mess, obviously heading up into New York. Piscataway is a mess and through here. This is all heavy snow in Sussex County and back through the Poconos, where it's really coming on down. And now some of that is starting to head up into the Catskills and the lower Hudson Valley, where we actually do anticipate a little bit of a changeover there. But as we mentioned, here it is, downtown New York and this area of sleet. Is it making its way across Staten Island into downtown New York? Well, let's go ahead and check that out firsthand. Our very own Jill Brown, still in New York from the blizzard of '96. Jill, what's the weather like now?
Well, Jim, things have been changing quite a bit this morning. We went from nice quiet conditions to big flakes and some quick accumulation. I think we have about an inch of new snow on the ground here. Now, you're looking back over Central Park West on down towards Columbus Circle and down towards 8th Avenue. A very snowy day here in Manhattan. We're kind of cleaning up the look. A lot of dirty snow covered up with fresh new snow at this point. Traffic was really backed up for a while there, and emergency vehicles, having a little bit of trouble getting around here because of all the snow and the cars double parked. You're still not supposed to park on the snow emergency routes so they can get the old snow cleared out and what we get today. Now, I just talked to some of our forecasters back at the Weather Channel, and it looks like we may have another band of heavier snow coming in, and then probably not too much longer this afternoon we're going to start seeing it change over like it has for Bill in Philadelphia. We're not looking forward to that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Thanks, Jill. We'll check in with you a little bit later on, as the changeover could be very, very close to following you. All right, what's happening as we look at this storm? What has happened and what is going to happen? That's the big question now. Let's take a look at the storm history, and you can see right around Baltimore they got about 6 inches of snow, and now it's starting to mix in with everything, as we mentioned. Some of that heavier snow working its way on up into Philadelphia, and it's really accumulating now across south central Pennsylvania, back through the Laurel Highlands. There's probably a little bit more than 3 inches there, and surely across New Jersey we are seeing the snows accumulating as well. But it's right along that coastline. And how far inland is that warm front going to go that keeps us in this little forecasting prowess? I mean, already, as Jill mentioned, an inch there. Bill has 3, but there he's mixing now, and as well as Jill is just starting to mix in New York. So that could be it for the snow totals, but not the precipitation. We're still going to get a lot of warm, moist air coming in along this warm front and pulling onto the northeast. The problem is we don't have the Arctic high pressure like we had last time. It's well offshore at this point, but we do have in this area a snowpack. And that almost acts like a little mini high pressure or a mini cold dome sitting over this area, and it's really hard to wedge that out. I mean, the simple properties of air mass are that cold air is more dense
and many delays. Let me get out of the way so you can see this here. At Dulles, we've had reports of some problems with planes landing, but that airport is now closed. Baltimore International closed. DCA is closed. And about everywhere else, there's some delays. LaGuardia, JFK, Newark, and Pittsburgh delays. So you might want to, I don't know, be testing out the old patience today at some of the airports. And even on the roads, if you're traveling, it's going to be some problems, as you've seen. In some of the big cities, traffic is backed up, and many of the
roads ahead. Driving not recommended at all here or throughout central or northern New England, which will be getting the snow a little bit later on. We'll expand this and show you what's going to be happening tonight and early morning on Saturday. Central and northern New England, we'll be looking at some snow. It will be locally heavy, and that's for sure, so do be aware of that. Otherwise, we're looking at some more rain. It's going to, right now we're looking at some rain around Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's going to be lifting on northward. Should be mixing with the snow around New York City as well, but down towards Florida, the southern part of the state, the rain's going to be ending within a few more hours. Then you're going to be in the clear through early next week. More to come, including a look at our big winter season.